Well, hello everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Wednesday morning. Another beautiful morning here in the desert as always. I missed last week because I was sick. I got that nasty chest cold. And I didn't feel like doing much of anything. But laying in bed. So finally starting to feel a little bit better. Getting back on the bike. Trying to get in shape. So first of all, this post that I did this morning, that picture, my older son Danny, drew that picture. He's a really good pencil artist. So that was a freehand pencil drawing, not a photograph, but a pencil drawing. Hey Mike, hey Tina. So that's where that picture comes from. My son Danny, he's a great artist. He does a lot of really good work. He's actually switched from doing pencil work to being a chef, using his artistic skills as a chef. So just great to see him utilize his art, so his gift. Hey Denise, how are you? So the post this morning was, from my book again. It says the main thing is that you need to stop blaming yourself, and you can't do that when you're protecting your story about someone else. You can't do that when you're protecting your story about someone else. So I'll remind you all, sometimes I talk in general terms, and so don't take any of this personally if it doesn't apply to you. That's okay. It applies to a lot of people, though, with my experience over the last 10 years. We all have a story. And sometimes we can cover up that story and we take the blame for it because we can't blame it on anybody else. Therefore, especially our parents, if we blame it on our parents, then where would we live? What would we do? So on and so forth. So in the program, and actually in life, it's a really good principle is that it talks about being rigorously honest. And so where does that rigorous honesty start from? Where does it start with? Who does it start with? Let's work with the people I work with. I tell them this, that rigorous honesty starts within yourself. What's your story? You got to be truthful and honest about what your story is. And if you can't be truthful and honest about what your story is, if you're making up lies, it's okay, it's just part of growing up, so on and so forth, then you're going to have a hard time moving forward in recovery. Now, I'll say this also as a disclaimer. I never want anybody to hate their parents. Actually, I want them to fall more in love with them than they were before. But I've heard too many stories in the past 10 years of people there's one in particular that really, really drove this home for me. I asked them, I says, hey, is your family coming for family weekend this weekend? I was at a recovery center. And the kid slammed his hand down on the table. Slammed it. And said, F my father. All he wants to do is throw money at me. He takes us places, buys us things. But what I need my father here to support me emotionally. He's never been there emotionally for me. And that's the problem. We are a result of learned behavior. We are a result of parenting, the learned behavior that our parents displayed to us, taught us. There's countless different things that we could go into on it. But the reality is having a nice home is important. It's pretty much prerequisite if you're a parent. You got to supply a home for your children. Having food on your table is nice, and having clothes on your back. Those are the three, and having parents that love you emotionally and support you. Okay? Those are the three essentials in life. But what good is a parent? Again, no disrespect to parents, okay? What good is a parent if all they're doing is working? They're never there for you when you need them. And then when they're home, their frustration comes out and they don't know how to deal with you. Again, it's no fault of theirs. Okay, so the way we are is no fault of ours. Until we become adults, then we're responsible for us. But until we can quit covering up our mentors or our parents' faults in the past and quit taking the blame for what they did to us, we're never going to grow. It was when I sat down with my therapist and my sponsors, and they walked me through this process, and I can remember in particular the day of forgiveness with Jack, that Deborah set me down and started telling me about Jack's life. I said, I don't care about Jack's life. The guy was brutal. I don't really care what happened to him. She gently told me, you just need to listen. And as we walked through that process, I realized that Jack was only putting on me what was put on him, because he didn't know any better. Okay? And back in those days, the 70s, the 60s, even the early 80s, there wasn't this kind of self-help that we have today. It was there, but the big message back in those days was submissiveness. My mom even in a letter wrote to me, it was all about being submissive. I had to be submissive to Jack. And, so that means that it's okay to let Jack beat me, for you to go ahead and instigate those beatings. And the reality is, the job of a mother is to protect her child at all costs. And I say that with a lot of respect and a lot of understanding that, where am I going to get the means to raise my child? I say this as an adult now, as I've had a couple of friends that have had not a whole lot materialistically, but have parents that loved them, and I would trade my life for what they had. Now, they had their own issues too. Okay. Actually, the reality is I wouldn't trade my life for nothing. And speaking of that, also, no matter what happened to us in our past, we are the people we are today, good, bad, or indifferent, because of everything that happened to us in our past. I wouldn't trade my past today. I would not trade my past, because it got me to the point where I am today. It's made me the man that I am today. It's made me the compassionate, kind, caring, understanding man that I am today. I have a compassion for people. I've been in a lot of people's shoes before. But the whole thing is that it's not that our parents or our grandparents or a mentor or whoever, our guardian, it's not that they didn't love us. They did love us. But let's get real about, where were they when you needed to talk to them, like this guy in the recovery center? Where were they when you were struggling in school? Where were they when you needed them to watch you at a baseball game, football game? Did they take time to go fishing? Did they take time to just go for a walk and say, hey, son or daughter, what's going on in your life? Could they tell you? Could they tell your personality? Could they tell when things were bothering you? Did they know your dreams? Or were they just putting their dreams on you? That's the other thing that I've heard a lot of people, is that they might be doctors or lawyers or whatever, good professions, but they hate what they're doing because it's not what they wanted to do. It's what mom or dad wanted them to do, and if they didn't do it, they'd be cut out of a trust fund. Now again, as adults, they made the choice to do it. But I can understand making that choice out of fear and retaliation of losing the love of parents. I can understand that to a certain degree. So at what cost are you covering up somebody else's story so that you can remain happy? At what cost? Until we can get rigorously honest with ourselves about everything that happened to us in our life, everything, And it won't be revealed all at once, or maybe it will. But until we can get to that point, then if we can't be rigorously honest with ourselves, then I can't be rigorously honest with my wife. I can't be rigorously honest with God. And if I'm not being rigorously honest, then I'm telling a half-truth, and a half-truth is a whole lie. So many victims blame themselves. If I was just better in school, if I was better in sports, if I was prettier, if I was more handsome, if I didn't argue with my mom as much, if I just did what they told me, they wouldn't have done this, they wouldn't have done that, they would have been there for me. Parents are to be there unconditionally and love the children unconditionally no matter what. No matter what. And again, I'm looking back, my time frame and what's happened in the world over the last 30 years. You think of the last school shooting. How many times did that kid cry out for help and nobody listened to him? Maybe mom and dad were too busy. I think his real mother and father passed away, but he has some foster parents, if I remember right. They were too busy to sit down and listen. And so we send them to psych. I'm not against psychiatrists because I got one myself, but we're pumping these kids full of meds instead of, we're putting a Band-Aid on the problem instead of dealing with the issue that's underlying. I think that happens a lot of places. I know this subject might be hard. Some people might be going, Randy, you're whack. That's okay. That's how you feel. You have a right to feel that way. But I'm telling you, it's much easier to put a Band-Aid on something than to start digging to the root of the problem and fixing it so that we don't have a lifetime full of problems. We can keep mowing the grass, keep taking the pill, keep showing up to meetings, keep going to church, or we can start getting the tools out and start digging up the roots one at a time. But that's hard. That requires work. There's a saying in the program: if you want what I got, then do what I do. Are you willing to go to any length to change your story? Are you willing to go to any length to have a new ending to your life story? You want to become a thriving survivor instead of a victim. It's real easy for us to stay in a victim mode. And I can tell you right now, in all honesty, 12 years, lately, I could see myself very easily falling back into victim mode for things that have been happening to me over the last couple months. I've got so much going on, and it's great. But then there's those things that are just, they hit me at the core of who I am. It's like, but I recognize I got to work through it. As hard as it is, as uncomfortable as it is, as painful as it can be for me, it's been a huge lesson. I've got to just keep uncovering and discovering so that I can keep healing the wounds. 10 years ago, you've heard me talk before, 10 years ago in a meditation, God said, Randy, the damage is incomprehensible and the scarring is deeper than you'll ever imagine. I had no idea what that meant, and I'm finding that out today. I'm finding that out today because just when I think I'm good, God goes, hey, Randy, here's another layer. Check this out. And it's like, oh my God, really? I thought I dealt with that already. Well, I did to a certain level. My big difference is this, is that my life is what it is. And while I had a mother and a stepfather they did the best they could. We lived in Dana Point. I surfed every single day. We went places. We did things. At Christmas time, I had more gifts than any child should have in one single day. I had all that. That's great. But what I didn't have support. I didn't have love. I didn't have acknowledgement. I didn't have validation. I didn't have discipline with love. I had punishment with hate and anger. There's a big difference. And I'll say that today. Because that's the reality. But the difference is, I don't live there today. It's part of my story. That's how I got to where I am today. But I don't live there today anymore. I don't live as a victim. So, think about that. Become rigorously honest with yourself, with clients, with whatever, until they can become honest. I don't co-sign anybody's garbage. I work lovingly with them, ask them a lot of questions, and generally when I lovingly ask questions and walk them through a process, they'll get to the point to where they understand. And then the true healing can happen once they start speaking the truth about their life on any aspect. Once they quit making stories to cover up whatever happened in the past, then the real healing can begin. It can begin with themselves, and then once it begins with themselves, we can start walking through the process to heal their relationship with their parents. I always say this: if you got a resentment towards your parents, you got a resentment towards God, you might as well say it, because He knows everything and He knows it. And once we start talking about it, it takes the power away from it, especially when you talk with somebody that's loving, kind, empathetic, and will walk you through it. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope somebody gets something out of it. Your past is your past, but as a parent today, moving forward, maybe you can change some of the things you're doing and just be a little more present for your children today. Okay, hey, I've been talking about this workshop that Bika Patel and I are doing, and it's here. Actually, what's going to happen is, before that, tomorrow I will be at, you're welcome, Denise. Tomorrow I will be at Mama's House Hope Center doing a presentation on healing the wound within, and what I'll be talking about is what abuse is, what abuse isn't. A little bit of some healing stuff in there, a little bit of solutions in there. I talk about all forms of abuse. It's just more of an educational thing tomorrow. But at the end, we're going to have a sign up for our, there it is right there, Understanding the Blueprint of Successful Relationship. This is normally it's a $200 workshop, but we're going to do it for free because it's the intro to our 3-month Understanding the Blueprint of Successful Relationship series that we're going to start on June 30th. And this free workshop here, we need to confirm it. No, this one is confirmed. Will be March 20, or I'm sorry, let me look. I apologize. April 17th, I believe. Yeah, April 17th from 6 to 7 p.m. and it'll also be held at Mama's House at the Hope Center there. And you'll get a 1-hour look at what this 3-month situation is going to be, 3-month workshop is going to be. You'll have a chance to sign up an early bird registration and get a really good pricing on the 3-month workshop at the sort of 1-hour workshop we're going to do in April. The big workshop will consist of 6 one-day intensive workshops, and then 6 webinar coaching sessions on Zoom, and then those are 6. Yeah, maybe there's 6 of those, and then we'll have some half-hour one-on-one coaching sessions available too, and some other stuff. So it's going to be a really good workshop. Kind of start, like I talked about, we're going to start digging into the garden a little bit and figuring out why you are the way you are, and shift your life story, change your life story. Okay, so you can have a happier, more fulfilling life. So that's going to happen April 17th, and then on June 30th, we're going to launch the workshop. Okay? Visit my website, courageoushealers.org, and do me a favor, even if it's just one time, go to my I'm going blank. My YouTube channel, and just press subscribe on it. I just want to get a bunch of subscribers on there. I'm trying to build this thing up. we're making changes, and hopefully these will get better, a little more fluent. And again, as always, please, if you got something you want me to talk about, just instant message me, and I'll do my best to cover it for you. Okay? So I think that's it. CourageousHealers.org, ChangeYourLifeStoryNow.com. ChangeYourLifeStoryNow.com is my life coaching website as well. Okay. Remember, if nobody tells you to love you today, Hazel does. So does Randy. But more importantly, God does. Love you, man. Bye.